Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We're coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted that you're part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. Please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast. Our guest is a debut author, Manuel Nunez, and he's here to talk about Noah and Baby Dragon. Hey, before our guest comes in, we gave a sneak preview of the Solve It for Kids podcast here on Reading with Your Kids, and it was so popular, it's like spun off into its own thing. And my buddy, our dean of all things STEM and STEAM, Jennifer Swanson, is here to tell us a little bit about what's going on with this great new podcast. Hey, Jennifer, what's up?
Hi, Jed. Oh, I am so excited about our new podcast. We've been getting some great reviews. Everybody wants to find out what's going on and meet and listen to some of our scientists and engineers. We have done how do you map an underwater forest?
Yeah.
We have done how do you cut a person in half safely? Of course.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We have talked about improving your connection with water by going on a water walk, and we have watched Vanessa Brantley Newton create illustrations that come to life.
I took a water walk with my amazing niece. We had such a great time. I didn't fall into the water, but it was really, really fun. And I love the fact that all of our guests are giving our wonderful listeners challenges, really fun challenges that they can do together as a family. And that's so cool. Hey, tell everybody where they can find Solve It for Kids, because it's not on the Reading with Your Kids podcast. It's its own thing.
So please, if you want to keep listening, go over to iTunes and Apple Podcasts and subscribe. And you can download all 4 of the first episodes that we have, plus listen to all the new ones we have coming out. You can also find on Stitcher Radio and, of course, through our website, solveitforkids.com.
Jennifer, thanks so much. Thanks for letting me be part of this awesome, awesome, awesome podcast.
Well, we make a great STEM team, don't you think?
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, join us over at solveitforkids.com. Joining us right now from the beautiful city of Lawrence in Massachusetts, right down the road from beautiful Reedville. He is the author of a beautiful debut book called Noah and Baby Dragon. Please welcome to the show, Manuel Nunez. Manny, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. Really excited to speak to you about this great new book, Noah and Baby Dragon. Tell us all about it, please.
Yeah, so Noah and Baby Dragon has been on my brain for years, and it's not until now, with Amazon making it extremely easy for you to be able to publish as long as you put in the effort. Mm-hmm. Not only that, but my son, I have a 10-month-old at home.
Hey.
And he kind of gave me the kick in the butt that I needed to, get started and really, put this book out there.
Isn't that amazing how, you're a guy, you're a strong guy, you live your life, you go out there and you're like, I'm my own man, I'm going to do my own thing. No one's going to tell me what to do. And then this little baby comes into your life and it's all of a sudden, what do you want me to do, baby? I'll do anything for you.
That is exactly how it happens because, your life changes in an instant. There's no way to describe it. I think only a parent would be able to understand that because it just changes, and you have this creature that now you're responsible for, and you don't know what you can read all the books, but once you're in it, man, it's a completely different story, but it's awesome.
And I love how you said that, like, it changes in an instant. Like, and I know what you're talking about. When my wife was expecting our first, our son, I did all the visits with her and we read the books and, we're thinking about it and I'm thinking like a parent. And then all of a sudden when he popped his head into the world and I held him for the first time, I'm like going, all right, this is it. The world has just changed.
Yep. It sure does. And, you're no longer just thinking about yourself. Priority number one is that baby.
I love hearing that, dude. Because there so many guys get a bad rap about not being there, not putting in the time. So I really love what you're saying, dude. It is so right on, and it is absolutely what we need right now to make sure when our kids come into the world, we are the dads. We got to be, and moms got to be there too. We got to be there and make them our first priority.
Yeah, and it starts from when they're little. The little guy's looking at you, and he's looking at you as an example. From the minute that they're looking at you, they're crying. I mean, my kid at this point, he mimics me at certain things that I do. I see him already doing it. I'm like, oh my gosh, So it's awesome to see, but at the same time, that calls you to really reflect on, what you show, how you behave, and it kind of keeps you on point,
Yeah, absolutely. They keep us on our toes. So your son inspired you to finally get this idea that's been percolating in your mind. I think you said since you were like 9 years old. And so tell us about the story of Noah and Baby Dragon.
So, since I was young, I've always enjoyed drawing. That was my thing. Give me pen and paper. I could be on there forever. Now, the actual story of Noah and Baby Dragon came to fruition when my son was born. But the desire for me to create something that people could read and enjoy has been in me for a while. And when I say that when he was born was when I got that kick that I needed, is because, if you read the book, you see the book itself is not only for you to be able to sit down and read with your child and have a good time, but also new parents will be able to relate, because Baby Dragon, Noah finds his baby dragon outdoors, brings him in, and now he has this huge responsibility, and this baby's crying, and he has to figure out what is wrong with Baby Dragon. Why is he crying? And it's very similar to what I went through, and oftentimes a lot of the pictures and the things that Noah goes through are things that I was remembering as I went through those different phases and things when my baby was born.
That's really cool. And you still have a lot of hair. See, I don't have any. I pulled all mine out when my kid came into the world. But I have two, so you have some time to pull the rest out. They're going a little bit. This is really wonderful. We're mentioning that, we're looking at each other through the miracle of technology. And you mentioned earlier on that you were able to self-publish this book through Amazon. And there are many different options for authors to self-publish these days. And that's a wonderful thing, because we're living in a time right now where you don't have to get the permission of a giant corporation to share your story with the world. It certainly helps if you have a big machine behind you, but it's not necessary. If you have an idea, you can do it. No matter if you grew up in Lawrence or wherever, you can make your dream come true.
And I think that's one of the most wonderful things about this time today. When I was growing up, that wasn't even a thought. I knew that I wanted to illustrate and write something, but there was no way for me to get that out there until now. But the wonderful thing is that our children are growing in an age where there's so many more possibilities. I mean, publishing a book doesn't even have to be an adult thing anymore. A parent could work with their child, have them illustrate their own story, you format it correctly, and you can have it printed out to the world. And you can have your kid have their own book that they themselves created. It's quite amazing how far we've come and the things that we can do today.
Yeah, it really is. Now we're sharing that it wasn't even a thought that as when you were younger and you're playing with all these illustrations, it wasn't even a thought that you could get your pages in a book. There are other kids who are 9 and 10 years old who are great drawers who are thinking, oh, I'm going to be an author someday. What was it? And you're not unique. What was it? What was going on in your life in Lawrence that was telling you, nah, this can't happen for you?
I'll tell you, I think that part of it is, if I'm being quite frank, is the lack of knowledge and education, at least from my parents' side. Obviously my dad is, he's an immigrant. He has a 9th grade education. My mom did finish her degree in Dominican Republic. However, coming in here, new language, she wasn't able to, work in that field while she was here. So I think that, part of the limitations that I had growing up was the lack of knowledge that was around me. But the wonderful thing about today especially, and why I think that not many of us have an excuse anymore, is that we have the power of the internet. Anything is a Google search away, or even a YouTube away. It's even easier now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, one of the reasons I asked you is because I want to point out to folks, especially now, that people are living in different ways. Not everybody has the same advantages, and I think it's real important for us to help our kids understand that we don't all have the same advantages. We don't all grow up with a mom and a dad who have an IT job, who've graduated from Harvard or Yale and can, shape their minds, whatever. There are a lot of families who a lot of kids growing up with families who are struggling through all sorts of situations. And I think if we can help our kids understand that and help us understand it, we can make sure that kids in Lawrence, kids in Reedville, kids everywhere start to understand that, you have the possibility. You can do things if you want. You can make your dreams come true.
Exactly. And one of the things that I loved about the concept when I actually learned about your podcast is that you want parents and you're advocating for families to come together and read. And that translates to love for knowledge, right? So when you're building that into your children from a very young age, then now they're going to enjoy and love to learn. And that knowledge is going to open up so many doors for you. And you're not going to be as limited, because now you have that knowledge and that understanding. Like, hey, man, as long as I can focus and I can read or I can find a book anywhere, you have more possibilities open to you.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. As you're finding out, your son is 10 months old, you said, and you already see him mimicking you. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the way you dance in your underwear. Who knows what it is? But he's already at 10 years old. He's looking up to you. You are the most important person in his life. You're his most important teacher. And if he's mimicking you doing whatever it is you're doing, just think how powerful it is for your son to see you reading every day. To see you with a book in your hands or a Kindle in your hands, and not the Game Boy controller. I don't even know if you played.
And the thing is, it's not easy. I'll tell you, we live hectic lives with work and everything else, and sometimes I don't read, and I'll be honest, sometimes I don't read to my son at night, and it's something that my wife and I both have to work towards, because if you let it, your day will be consumed and you won't have that time with your kid. I think one of the wonderful things about this book is that it's nice, it's short, and it's sweet. So you can take a few minutes out of your night before you put your baby to bed, you read them the book, and you've had that time. Yeah.
And one of the things it sounds like from your book is your kids are going to enjoy the experience of you reading to them, and they're going to love the illustrations, and they're going to love hearing you do the different voices and everything and act out the frustrations. But it also sounds like the parents are going to get a kick out of the fact they're like, oh yeah, I can do that. I know what Manny was thinking about. That happened to me too.
Exactly. Yeah. Parents are going to see, Noah trying to change Baby Dragon's diaper, and they're going to remember, those times where like, oh man, that was one of the things that I tried to see if my baby would stop crying and get him into a nice and happy state.
Now, you've been very honest, and I really appreciate that. You said that you and your wife, sometimes you come home, it's so hectic, it's a bazillion things going on. Then all of a sudden, your son is asleep, and we didn't get a chance to read to him tonight. And But what about those days when it's really hectic and there's a million other things you can do, but you make the time, you say to yourself, no, I got to sit down, I have to read to my son tonight, and then you take the time, even though you're exhausted, and you read. How do you feel after you finish reading to your son?
It feels amazing because it feels like he was the priority. You know, I made sure that I had time for all these things, but at the end of the day, before I closed out my night, before he closed out his night, he goes to sleep a little bit earlier than us. We made sure that we fed him a little bit of knowledge. You know, we got to interact with him in a way that would increase his ability to learn.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, so important. What was it like as a debut author, as somebody who had this dream and didn't think that it was in your reach, when you got that first author copy in the mail and you were able to hold it in your hands?
I'll tell you a funny story. So Amazon told me that it would be here on a Friday, right? Friday comes, and you know, with everything that's going on with COVID and everything, there's delays and all that good stuff. So I actually didn't get my book until Monday. And I was expecting it on Friday, and I'm like, oh, man, it didn't come today. I actually had some of my friends that had ordered the book as soon as they found out that it was out, and they got it before me. You know? I'm like, this is unbelievable. But, you know, it's different because, you know, I illustrate on the computer, so I'm able to see the images, but once you see it, even when you order, because I have the digital copy as well, but, man, there's nothing like holding it in a book form. You know, you see the spread pictures and you see all the colors. It's awesome.
Yeah. And you know, this is really fun because I feel like we're talking to like all these multiple audiences at the same time. We're talking to new parents. We're talking to parents of kids of 3 and 4 and 5 years old, motivating them, reminding them how important it is to read with their kids. And we're also talking to, you know, a parent out there who also has this dream of writing a book, and there's these stories that they tell their kids at night, and it's like, yeah, I should put this in a book, but I don't know how to put it in the book, and it doesn't cost money, you know. And, you know, I think it's wonderful that we're able to hit these different audiences because they really overlap a lot of times. There are a lot of the authors who've come on the show have said that they were inspired, that they got the idea for their book from something that was going on with their child through a story that they were telling their kids at night. And it's, you know, you made it happen. What would you say to the person who's out there thinking, yeah, but I don't got the time, and I no one is going to want to read my stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, it's I'll tell you, it takes a lot of effort, you know, and it takes a lot of intentionality. You know, I have a 10-month-old. At one point, he was a month old. So, for people that, even if you're a single parent and even if you're married, to be honest, I was up at 4:30 in the morning, you know, having to go into work at 8. So it is going to take effort, and I think that your why behind why you're doing it is what's going to push you to the finish line. And for me, you know, maybe I get some sales and maybe I get some royalties out of this, but my primary focus was, man, I have this ability to be able to illustrate and create something. I want to be able to share that with my son. And that's what drove me. That's what helped me get up at 4:30 in the morning when everybody's asleep to be able to write this book for my child Xander, so I can sit down and read with him, you know? So I think that out of everything, out of any strategies that someone may give you, you need that strong why to be able to finish.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So cool. And how cool is it going to be when Xander gets to be 8, 9 years old and he has a dream that somebody might say to him, you can't, dude, you can't do that. You know, look around. No one's going to do that. And your son's going to be sit back and say, yeah, someone said that to my dad too, but he's a published author.
And it even sounds weird saying it, like, I'm a published author, you know? And I think that, you know, we have this mentality that, you know, we need to be like these superstars, and if we're not like certain people, then we're not worthy, or we're not good enough. And every single person and each person and each of us we're all unique, and the story that you have, the things that you have experienced are what make you special, and that's what's going to make your contribution not only in a book but in this world special.
Yeah, you're right. There's so many. I meet so many kids out there. They're like they love dance, they love basketball, baseball, but it's like at some point they realize I'm not gonna play for the Celtics. I'm not gonna make it to Boston Ballet. But that doesn't mean that you have to stop playing. It doesn't mean that your gift isn't valuable to you and to the world.
Exactly, and I think that's where we as parents come in. That's where I'm sure that our kids out there will get made fun of, or maybe somebody will tell them, hey, you're not going to be able to do that. But that's part of our jobs, as caretakers, as parents that are going to be raising our kids, is that, you be there and you be that positive, motivating force that tells your kid, hey, you can do this. You are capable. You are going to be able to achieve your dreams.
Absolutely. Now, I don't mean to burst your bubble or rain on your parade, although here in Massachusetts, both of us have been rained on. Like, when I look, I'm going to be talking about Noah. Oh, appropriate, the ark and the rain and all that. But you wrote the book, you have it in your hands, and it's wonderful. And you have a 10-month-old Xander in your life that's keeping you busy, and you got a job, and you have to take care of your wife. But I got to ask you, is there a new book coming out at some point?
I think there will be. I did read up. So I wrote the book, right, and I wrote it primarily for my son, and my whole goal was to publish this thing and get it out there. But then I realized, okay, so what do I do next? And I'm just reading and doing research, and I guess most authors, after they publish a book, they spend like a year just advertising and trying to get the book out there. So at least at this point, I'm trying to figure out, as an author, how do I get the word out there so people can see this book, can fall in love with the story of Noah and the baby dragon. But I think that there will be a next one. Is there going to be a part 2 to Noah and Baby Dragon? Maybe, but I've had a lot of friends talk to me about. They love the fact. So Noah, he was created after my son. He has a little bit of color. He has the poofy hair, and my son has curly hair. And some of the feedback that I've received from some of the parents is, and in this case, like Hispanics, is like, oh man, like my kid really sees himself as Noah. So some of the parents have even suggested, oh man, you should try to create something where like our kids can relate more to stories like that. So there's a few ideas that I have in mind. Not sure which way I will go yet, but there will definitely be a second book from Manny.
Well, I'm really excited because I'm just talking to this young man who has so much energy and is so thoughtful, and I think there's going to be some great things coming from Manny Nunez, and I'm so happy. Is this your first podcast?
First one.
All right. A debut right here. I'm really excited, and you talked about the power of representation and the power, how important it is for kids to see themselves in the pages of books. And I've said this 1,000 times. I'm going to say it 1,000 times again. As important as it is for young Latino or Latina to see themselves in the pages of books, it's really important for Asian kids, for white kids, for African American kids to see Latinos and Latinas in the pages of books, just as important as it is for Latinos to see Asians in books. It's really important for us to see each other in books so that we can develop an empathy and realize we're all the same. We speak different languages. Right. We have different cultures. We listen to different music. But, man, deep down, we are all human beings, and we need to work together to make this world a better place.
And it all starts with our kids.
Amen. Hey, Manny, where can folks connect with you? Because I know there's so much energy coming from you. I know people are going to want to know more about you. They're going to want to know where they can find their own copy of Manny and the Baby and Baby Dragon. So tell everybody where they can connect with you online.
So you can get the book on Amazon, Noah and Baby Dragon. You put that in the search bar, and you'll be able to find it right away. I don't have an official website, but I am on social media. On YouTube, I am The Manny's World, and on Facebook as well, The Manny's World, and on Instagram, Manny's World.
Awesome. We have been talking to the king of Manny's World, the author of Noah and Baby Dragon, Manny Nunez. Manny, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. It was a blast.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Katie Pye. She'll be here to talk to us about her wonderful book, Fairy Tale Fraud. That's the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. If you are an author of a fantastic children's book, you may be incredibly frustrated by the fact that, number one, that you are the marketing director for that book. I know so many of us, we go into writing a book, we think, we're going to write the book, get it published, sit back, and just hear all the accolades and the reviews and the royalty checks are just going to pour in. No. You are the person most responsible for marketing your book. It doesn't matter if you are a debut author, if you are an author of dozens of books, if you're self-published, or if you are published by a traditional huge publishing house. You are the person who is most responsible for getting out there and marketing your book. And right now it is especially difficult because all the traditional ways of marketing your book to kids are not available. School visits, not available anytime in the near future. I can't see them happening for the rest of 2020 at least, and probably going into 2021. Library visits, kind of the same thing. You know, the many libraries still haven't reopened. And what about book signings? You know, I hear there are some book signings happening, but they're outdoors, and you know, competition for those limited amount of book signings, it's really, really fierce. And, you know, how many books do you actually sell at a book signing? We have something that may help. It's helped a lot of authors. It's called the Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read Program. And if our panel believes that your book is worthy of 4 or 5 out of 5 stars, it becomes a certified great read. If you go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, click on the Author Services button at the top of the page, you'll find out all about this wonderful program. And it really is a great way to help your book stand out from the crowd of books that are published every single month. Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read Program. Read all about it at readingwithyourkids.com. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, want to thank our guest, Manny Nunez. Want to thank my incredible team, starting with my producer, Fatima Khan. Want to thank my awesome author ambassador, Peggy Cotto. Want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. And, of course, we want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Thank you so much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.